Today we are going to talk about ACID properties in Oracle database. What are ACID properties? ACID is a set of properties that ensure reliable processing of database transactions. Oracle, like other relational databases, follow these properties to guarantee data integrity even in case of errors or failures. What is transactions? Look at the right side of the life cycle of the transaction. If we do any operation on a SQL, inserting the data, deleting the data, or updating the data, it has to start from the begin and active. If the data is going to commit, then the transaction is going to complete. You are going to get all the data what you are done, what you inserted in the database. That is the one probability. The second one is when you are trying to insert data, because of some reason it is partially committing and that transaction is going to fail. And the whatever the before partially committing action, whatever the data is inserted, that data is going to be rolled back. This is the transaction lifecycle. Because this is very important, don't confuse what is transaction. Transaction is nothing but a we do operation on we do SQL operation on a database. Okay, next, atomicity. Atomicity is the one of the ACID properties. Atomicity is a nothing but that's what I just explained about the transaction. The same thing you can see here. Transaction is treated as a single unit which either completes entirely or not at all. If any transaction includes updating multiple tables, either all updates happen or none do. If any steps fail, the entire transaction is rolled back. Whatever we do the operation, that is nothing but a transaction. If you do the transaction, only two options. One is it is going to complete or roll back. It is not going to impact to the database. Okay, that is an atomicity. Next one, consistency. Consistency is nothing but the data what we are inserting, the data what we are deleting. Whenever you return the data, I should get my data consistently, irrespective of the whatever the transaction happens. And it has to follow the defined rules, whatever such as constraints, triggers, and foreign key relations. All data must satisfy. This is the consistency. It does not matter whether the transaction is completed or not. My data should not mess up. How? That's what ACID properties. If any transaction is not able to complete with some circumstances, that data is going to be rolled back. If the transaction is completing properly, then data is available. Then definitely we will get a consistency, consistent data. Okay. Next one, isolation. Isolation is name itself is we are isolating. What you are isolating? Transactions. We do multiple transactions concurrently or simultaneously. It should not impact one transaction to the other transaction without leading any inconsistency in the database. We should get our data. That's what the isolation is there in the database, in the Oracle database, right? You can see an example. Two users can perform operation on the same data simultaneously, but Oracle ensures that the results are as if the transactions were executed one after the other. Okay. Next one is the durability. We do all the operations, we are executed a transaction. The transaction has a purpose. It is going to store some data or it is going to take the data. That data is a permanent. When the transaction is completed, that data is permanent. Whatever happens, the system failure happens also, still we'll get a data. The only thing is if your database is reboot, whole hard disk is gone, then it's a problem. We have to make sure that take a proper backup and store wherever cloud or locally, whichever locally, so it can serve the purpose. Okay. Ensure that once transaction is committed, it remains in the system even in the case of system crash or failure. Example, you can say that after a transaction commits, transferring funds between two banks accounts, the changes are permanent and not affected by subsequent system failures. Okay, these are the four properties. Thank you so much for watching this video.